Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 22 of this 30-day Living an Authentic Life Challenge. I am Tanya E. Hood, and today for this challenge, we are having a conversation about legacy. Building a legacy can be challenging. It is often those thoughts that we're trying to figure out, how does this really look? Because when we first began talking about it, we were giving some ideas about what you do every day. And when you decide to start the work for that long-term task to get to that goal, it can be daunting. Some of the changes that you need to make often look like things are falling apart in the beginning. You're putting in new thoughts, new ideas, new vision about what your family looks like and some of the things you'd like to have happen that has not yet occurred that you would desire. Many of us were born into families that already came with its own set of There are broken pieces that are often in the foundation of a lot of families, and we don't often know how to put some of those pieces back together because we don't know the origin of how it got broken. You don't have to always know the origin of how it got broken, but if you see the broken piece, then find a way to fill the gap that exists. You may be the one person in your family that can rebuild the holes that have been broken, that messy part that nobody wants to deal with, because it pricks your heart, because it touches your soul. You may be the one that changes the foundation of your family so that a new legacy can be built. But I want to encourage you today that that amazing new legacy that you have as a vision can come to pass. And it often requires, just like most renovations that you see, it's messy. You got to dig up some old things that a lot of people may not have want to talk about. Some of those past hurts that were pushed into the corners of some of the elements of our hearts, our souls, and our lives. Take the time to do the cleaning, one by one. Don't think that you have to try to change everything that's happening in your family dynamic all at one time, because it's too disruptive and it is too heavy a burden to do all alone. Work on the pieces that you know are connected directly to you. You may need to learn some new skills. I know that I have gone through a whole lot of different things to learn some new skill sets, to get some different ideas, to get a different perception of some of the pieces that have occurred in my life. And I've often told my children that I'm giving you the best foundation that I possibly can, but you will have experiences that I will never encounter. So this foundation, as I'm laying it, when you decide to get a new family of your own, you'll have to create some new pieces, because when you're blending somebody else's family dynamic with your family dynamic, that's a whole new structure that has to be built. So what tools do you need to rebuild a structure of your own foundation and add a new piece of someone that you're bringing in? I have used counselors and coaches and gone through different techniques, read a lot of different books, surrounded myself by people that I saw having the success that I desired. Because I know that in my family, lots of times I was taught to use a hammer, but you cannot use a hammer for everything. There are different tools for different things in your life, and you've got to learn how to master that. And I am so grateful that the foundation that I have been given was a good foundation, but there were pieces in it that others laid that don't quite fit what I do now. So I had to take a thought and get a new vision about how I could use the strong pieces, because when you have that strong bedrock of a foundation that you're grounded in, that is good. And I have pieces of that that are seated in my soul, and I'm so grateful. But there were other parts that I needed a new direction on that nobody in my family really had. So I had to try to figure out, what does that look like? And then some of you are like me. I'm on my second marriage. And in this second marriage, I am adding in a new dynamic. I'm adding in a dynamic that took place from my first marriage, because my children have elements of that piece. And then the new dynamic with my second marriage, because that brought its own set of new foundational pieces. But just like a mosaic's beauty is found in the restoration of broken pieces, we can create new family dynamics. So don't think that you have to try to pull every single piece together. Some parts that make a mosaic so beautiful is that you took a piece out of a larger part, made it a little bit smaller, and then have it melded together to put together an amazing piece. There are parts that Eric and I brought together that were sort of similar because we had similar backgrounds that helped us. Some of our mosaic pieces, when we merged them together, looked like a larger piece that was already uniform. But then there were other parts that he brought that did not quite mesh what I brought. And that's where you see in the mosaic piece, there's some of that line where you had to form a new shape to get a new foundation. Well, we decided to do that because I had to learn how to embrace other family values and family thoughts. We don't often think about, when we blend families together, what it takes to truly work on that. And it's not like a real construction zone, y'all, because with a real construction zone, when you lay the foundation, you can often just let that be still. But what you're building is an element that has life to it, and anything that's living must be tended to. So I want to encourage you to disrupt the patterns of what society says your family should look like. Society doesn't have to live with your family. You do. Society doesn't have to live with the backlash that will come. And trust me, when you start making some changes and shaking up some things, you got to live with that. And society will not be with you in the middle of the dark when you're trying to figure out how to get through the next step. You're going to have to be the one to walk through that. So like I tell anybody that I work with, you have to live with the results of the choices that you make. You can get insight from everybody around the world as much as possible, and there's some great information that can be given. But at the end of the day, if you want to make certain that your foundation, your new foundation, is lasting, make the pieces that you can adjust. And just like mosaics, there are some frames that I have learned when there are new churches that are trying to remove an old pane to put in a new building. Some parts got broken, but because it was a mosaic, you can add in a new piece to the parts that may have fell off or got broken in the midst. And here's one last thing I want to leave you with. When you are working on your new foundation, as you lay one brick to a wall, there's mortar that keeps it in place. God is the mortar that helps keep things in place. So for your new family foundation, to help it be everlasting, to build the legacy that you desire, have God included on a journey, because he is the only reason that my current marriage has lasted for 12 years. Because at the beginning, Eric and I sat down and decided that no matter what happened, we had to make certain that we remain Team Get, God, Eric, and Tanya. So laying that brick in the foundation of our relationship and our marriage in the beginning has sustained us to build the legacy that we have today. So day 22. If you want to talk more about it, you have got to join us on Zoom. Go to my website, tanyaehood.com. There you can get the registration link and join us. There are people here on Zoom that are waiting to extend this conversation. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.